sa karanasan ko po, yun naman ang kasalanan natin dito.
Media educators are warning calls to defend press freedom.
This corruption in media will reduce.
Good evening. You're watching News Cafe on the Solar News Channel. Sitting in for Jing Magsaysay, I'm Karen Jimeno. Joining me tonight are the change makers themselves from Change.org, Inday Espina-Varona, Campaigns Director, and Christine Roque, Campaigner for the Philippines. Good evening and thank you for being with us tonight.
Good evening, Karen.
Thanks for having us.
So I actually came across before a petition that I truly believed in. So I signed this petition and it was from Change.org. So I guess it's a good opportunity for me and as well as the viewers to understand what is Change.org.
Okay. Change.org is the world's largest petition platform. What we do is we help people, individuals, to empower themselves by helping them, giving them a platform, helping them craft their petitions and spreading this so that they can choose the change that they want. Big change, small change, you know, it all depends on them. Christine, by the way, was the person who opened Change.org in the Philippines.
Oh wow!
By
Where
her
did it
hometown,
start? Which
Christine.
country?
Well, it was founded in the US, but it has its own local offices in about, I think, we have it in 17 countries, correct? And we started Change.org here in the Philippines in April 2012. And we only started with 27,000 users. And now in the Philippines, we have more than 400,000 users, making change as part of their daily lives.
That's impressive because you're so young and you were able to bring it to the Philippines. What impelled you to bring it to the Philippines or what started that idea?
Well, actually, Change.org was expanding in Asia, and I think I came at the right time. I was just finishing my master's, and I knew Change.org was already making waves in the US, and I believe that it's the perfect platform for Filipinos because we're already used we have that history of people power and bringing that not only on Facebook but through the form of petitions, which Change.org is offering to everyone for free. It's the perfect tool for Filipinos to make change easier and to make it more, to spread the leadership more parang democratically, hindi lang top to bottom decision making, but bottom up decision making.
And I mentioned that Change.org even helps people craft their petitions. So if you have a user, for instance, na Tagalog speaker or Cebuano speaker na hindi magaling sa English. But of course, you want to reach out not only in the rest of the country, but some countries in Asia or abroad. Does that include editing or helping them talagang craft the petition?
Yes, we don't just edit and then say, pwede na to. We actually talk with them. So we don't push the petitions until we actually talk with the petition starter and then we explain na baka masyadong mahaba, it may be too long, it may be too dense, it may be too, and we do have petitions in Filipino. The coal plan petition in Palawan, which won a victory, by the way, had a Filipino petition starter because he was a fisherman. I mean, you don't have fisherman talk in
so
English.
it was a fisherman.
So it's the...
Paano na niyang na-reach ang Change.org? Because I'm curious, pag sa mga remote areas, for instance, you mentioned this Palawan fisherman, I cannot imagine him in front of a computer with this as a part of his daily routine. So how was he able to contact Change.org?
It's actually in Palawan kasi there was already a petition started by Philippine cockatoo conservationists. And they had a petition asking the Palawan Council for Sustainable Development to stop the planned coal plant in Nara, Palawan. And they were the ones who were educating the fishermen kung bakit coal plant is not beneficial to the community and of course to their health, yung social costs ng isang coal plant. So they already had their offline petition, but the fishermen needed more. So it was a partnership with the Catala Foundation to create an online petition because their on-ground petition, yung doon lang sa barangay ng Panakan, they were not being heard. So they wanted to make it more national. They wanted it to become a national issue na hindi lang this is not just a concern of the Palaweños, but also of the country. So they together they did the petition, and then it was the fisherman who wrote the petition text himself, what kind of impact it has to, of course, not only to his family but to his livelihood.
That's interesting. So, in other words, Change.org caters to everyone.
Everyone.
Yeah, educated, uneducated,
Educated,
internet users, non-internet users.
Yes, because petitions have been with us forever, you know. Even in the old Chinese ancient kingdoms, they would read petitions to the emperors, you know, the sheikhs of the Middle East a long time ago. But the difference is the digital age gives us a platform to expand the reach of these petitions. Hindi lang bahay-bahay, bahay-bahay, pirma-pirma. Now you've got an entire world out there of people who may actually share your passion, being able to join you in your cause.
That's interesting. And do you find this to be an effective platform, historically? Sa mga petitions that were started in Change.org, can you give notable examples, at least that you remember, where this type of platform, the petition started, were successful?
Okay, there was the first, I think, was a teacher, right?
It's one of the first.
It's one
actually.
of the first victories. Christine
It's a
can
principal from Otolinga National High School in Pagadian. Actually, it's even like an hour away from Pagadian. There was no mobile signal. Umuwi pa siya sa Pagadian so that she could go online. And it was the petition was started by Testaranza, the principal, and checkmyschool.org. And they're asking the mayor and the congressman of Pagadian na ayusin naman yung landslide wall, the riprap wall. Yung wall is supposed to protect the classroom from,
Falling.
Yes, any
rocks or
landslide.
landslide. Pero within 2 years, it was in the brink of collapse already. So they were just asking them to repair it, and they weren't. The officials weren't listening to them. So they started an online petition, and within 24 hours, DepEd here in Manila responded, and they called yung regional DepEd and asked, to
Within
to
2
look-
hours?
No, 24 hours.
24
In a
hours.
day, it
Okay.
was.
Yeah,
It
that's
became viral.
impressive.
It
Yeah.
is. Oh, it's very fast. It's cost effective, and everyday petitions globally win. Dito sa case ng Pagadian, very compelling yung story nila because the students who go there are came from an indigenous group. They literally walk 2 to 3 hours going to school and back with no slippers, no breakfast, and they just go there because they want to learn. Tapos, pupunta sila kahit they're at risk of being,
of being injured or dying with
and
this
it
wall
even came
caving
to a
in.
point na they didn't have any training on disaster preparedness at all. It came to a point na tinatanggal na nila yung pako sa window para just in case maguho,
Oh, no.
they can easily escape. So, within 24 hours, DepEd responded. Senator Pia Cayetano provided the funds to have the wall repaired. And then Mines and Geosciences Bureau came in to inspect yung terrain. Tapos there was already a proposal from the city engineer kung paano na
When they
ayusin.
responded within 24 hours, was that based on how many signatures? I'm just curious kung
Not very
gaano
many.
karami
It's just
in
two.
order for people to listen.
It's just 2,000 or so signatures. It's not a numbers game. For instance, the first petition that came into the international limelight was a petition from a local in Baguio. His name is Carlo Altomonte, and he petitioned Sting because he was going to have his concert. It's called the Back to Base concert tour, and it was going to be held in a concert venue in Manila,
Near
sa may Pasay, the new one, the big
Rojas
one.
Boulevard area. Okay.
So, ang ginawa niya, this was to help their campaign to stop the earthballing of trees dun sa
Province niya.
Development
sa
in
Baguio.
Baguio.
So, ang ginawa niya, pinetition niya si Sting na, just transfer your venue. Wag na doon because we don't like this company. We don't like this corporation. Transfer it because the goal was really not to stop the company from earthballing the trees. The goal to help their campaign is to create that financial,
Financial
that
dent.
revenue,
Pressure.
that dent in revenue and
Okay.
pressure. And Sting said yes in I think 2 months.
Yeah.
2 months with just 300 signatures. Sting said, okay, I'm transferring all the refunds or transfer of tickets to
Somewhere
another
else,
Coliseum will be taken care
Yeah,
of.
that's phenomenal.
And that
Because
eventually really led to a pledge to halt additional transfer of trees.
of trees. So this
That's
is
a really great
actually
victory for them.
parang an environmental, cultural heritage concern, and you have Hollywood or global personality
Icons, yeah.
that was able to. This guy was able to reach out to and talk to directly
Yes.
through Change.org.
Yes.
And-
And it's called smart targeting. you know?
Smart targeting. Is there a way for Change.org to help people send their message directly to the people involved? Because, for instance, with that example with Sting, how was this petition sent to Sting?
Well, almost all, let's say, if it's Sting, there's a way to get in charge of the manager. They're celebrities, so more or less, people do talk to them, whether it's on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, email. And if it's a government official or a government agency, their email addresses are there. So there is a tool, a built-in tool, when you create a petition that will allow the petition target to receive that petition and to see the updates in this petition, how many people are joining you. That in itself creates some pressure. It's not everything, but it's a start.
Yes.
But at least it
Yeah.
informs the target.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
for
exactly.
instance,
And that's interesting because it informs the target. When sometimes you have people starting a petition who know what they want but don't know who to send the message to.
Yes.
Because sometimes, you have this person, for instance, who use walls.
Yeah.
It can be, who do you really talk to? DepEd, DSWD, congressmen, senators, diba? So,
it's actually the petition starter who identifies.
He was very good, yeah.
We come in to give them advice because baka naman, like for instance, if it's about a landslide wall and it's petitioning the president, of course, it's not smart targeting. You
Quicker,
should,
yeah.
and
quicker dapat.
Change.org will help them
Will help
determine
them,
the
like,
target.
yeah. And if-
Sometimes they're confused. So what we do is when this is an issue, these are the levels of actions that of the people who can provide action to your problem. And that's where we help them. But the decision will be up to them. If they really want to petition someone, then we can't do anything. They're the owners of the petition.
So if they put in the email address, every time someone signs the petition, automatically sends an email to whoever they're targeting that there's this certain petition, there's this certain number of signatures already asking you to do X, Y, Z.
Okay. Very efficient system. So based on your experience, what are the most popular types of petitions?
Cultural conservation.
Cultural conservation.
For the Filipinos, that's very, very important.
That's a good sign.
Yes, I think in Balayan, in Batangas, they were able to, they had petitioned to stop the sale of a land right
Lease,
beside the
yeah.
church, lease of the land right beside the church, which houses now a convent from the 17th century. And the lease would entail, of course, putting up a
Like a modern
grocery
structure or a
modern
mall na
structure,
naman.
supermarket, big
And this is
grocery.
like
So they were going
Ganyan,
to
ah.
use this
Nakadikit yan.
nakadikit to this
Nakadikit.
national historical
The 400-year-old
400-year-old church, and then this is the convent they planning to.
They wanted to
convert
get
that
rid of
into
the convent to turn it into a supermarket.
Yeah, well, to lease the land to a supermarket. Okay, and they had petitioned the Archdiocese of Lipa, and just 2 days ago, there was a pastoral statement. The big newspaper carried it and said that the Archdiocese of Lipa had said that, it said one, we weren't really going to sell it. We were just consulting the people on the pros and cons of the sale. But the most important thing was that it said that we shall no longer consider leasing.
So another
that's a
victory for
And
this
right
petition.
now, there's another petition starting
just found
from
that out.
Taal, I think. So that's
Yeah.
another conservation. There are a lot of young people, by the way, very interested in conservation. So that's a big one. Animals are always a popular
that's
cause. you know.
adorable. And I still want to ask you more about the types of petitions and the
Yes.
other advocacies of Change.org. We still have a lot to discuss with our guests. News Cafe will return after these messages. You are still watching News Cafe on the Solar News Channel. And we are still joined by our guests, Inday Espina-Varona and Christine Roque of Change.org. Good evening and thank you, ladies. So our next question would be with respect to propaganda. Because sometimes, well, at least when I signed the petition, they mentioned the name of this person who I didn't know, but I believed in the petition. But it can also happen that the person who starts a petition would have selfish interests or not really altruistic motives. So do you think Change.org can be used for propaganda? And how can Change.org prevent this from happening?
It's an open platform, okay? But we do have clear rules. We don't tolerate hate petitions. We don't tolerate libelous petitions, as in anywhere, okay? There will always be, and there have been times, even in other countries, where people will try to put in a petition, really a self-serving petition. We do believe in the wisdom of the crowd, one, because what petitions actually work very well are the petitions of a personal nature linked to a universal problem, usually. So when people see that the petition is just the normal, almost like a press release that you see daily, they'll automatically,
Reject
that,
or not support it.
And since we do choose sometimes to push those that carry these values of a petition that reflects a personal condition and yet is linked to a universal problem or universal call, then let's say a quarrel between two feuding warlords is not that kind of petition, But they're there, We're not going to take it
you
down.
cannot take down.
We're not going to take it down.
Change.org does not. So pagka mga
unless
frivolous,
it's only really libelous and hate mail and really blatantly
Incites
abusing,
violence,
yes.
calls people names and all that, incites violence, yes. No, it's an open platform. But always, we haven't seen, worldwide, we haven't seen any petition that's flown when it's really used in that matter.
So Change.org does not basically take on the responsibility of determining what issues are important and not important.
No.
We're an open and neutral platform, so we believe in the power of the people, that they're the ones who decide what's important to them and what's important in the public agenda, so they're the ones who decide that.
You mentioned a petition about pawikans because a family started this petition and they started caring for this pawikan that they encountered.
It's such a small but really
it matters to them.
It matters, and it mattered to a lot of people. By the way, it got more than 1,000 signers right there.
Yeah.
It's just one simple family went on vacation in Guimaras, so this pawikan being caged, taken out for photo opportunities. They
For
actually
5 pesos.
5 pesos. They actually had the photo taken. They went back home, and they were very concerned. They couldn't forget that single pawikan. Of course, a pawikan is an endangered and protected species. And the family, the mother started a petition. The children, real children, elementary school kids, helped by drawing what they felt, about the pawikan's
They made
plight.
posters.
They made posters, and it went. We saw that, and we realized that yes, this is one family, but it reflected, on many levels, sympathy,
What matters to
empathy,
them,
what matters to
and
people,
what change they want.
Yeah, freedom of animals and all that. We sent it out. We were surprised. Whoop, 1,000 plus.
Yeah.
And again, in a week, the DNR responded in Western Visayas. And they were very proactive because they actually went to our Facebook pages and posted it also, the steps that they took in freeing it. So people actually, so it works.
Yeah.
From the freeing, walking the turtle to the beach, and the pawikan finally splashing into the sea. That was wonderful.
So that really shows our viewers that
Yes.
when you start a petition, it doesn't have to be like a big national issue. In your observation, what do you think is the #1 issue right now for the Philippines in Change.org?
Well, the biggest and the most numerous petitions that are flooding in and continue to flood in are all about PDAF and pork. So
They're about
and punishing and calling for the prosecution of those who have abused. They're 200 plus?
About
200.
200 petitions started just about the PDAF scam.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the biggest are one is started by Pichi Bretanya, the one who initiated the Million People March, and then the second was started by the FSGO, former senior government officials. They started a petition themselves.
Calling for the impartial
Investigation.
of the pork-barrels.
And there's also a humorous petition, also connected to the PDAF scam. They're asking Pag-asa to name the typhoons after corrupt politicians.
Okay, the Pag-asa has said no.
Yeah.
Okay, I think the petition started. So there are many ways. There are many reasons why people make petitions. So it's not always because we demand. You know, there are also. This is my form of expression. So yeah, okay, kahit suntok sa buwan, you know, I just want, and that gain.
It won't
Also,
hurt
1,000, you know, a lot of people
Yeah,
signed that
a
one.
lot of it.
And it
created
was
so
like
More
much
signatories
buzz.
than first thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
it is.
petition. Right?
And then there are also petitions. You can also file a petition in the form of a pledge. It's going to be Environmental Day, for Earth Day, for example. Like Filipinos, let's all, you know, collect garbage, whatever, anything. And you can do that too. So it's not just complaints. It's also positive action. And we would like to see more of that, actually. It's not always hostile. Aurora P1, the former Miss International, felt for the people of Katiil right after Pablo, and she thought, hey, Mercury. So she wrote a petition, started a petition asking Mercury Drug, of course, one of the biggest corporations in the country, give back a little to the community, give free medicines to the people of Katiil, and that was funny because I saw on Facebook how some of her friends were saying, you know, it's not going to work. Like, you know, why would they even listen to us? But she said, no, it's going to work. Let's believe. And it did. It worked. It did not only send medicine, it sent medical teams. It sent relief goods. So
That's interesting.
different levels.
So it's not just stop this,
No,
stop that.
no.
Proactive, do something.
Yes. Right now, we just sent an email. There's a petition in Japan because there's a military base that would entail reclaiming land in the Sea of Dugong there in Okinawa, and that's the home turf of the endangered dugong, you know. And they said, well, we want to ask help from Asia, and so we emailed it to our animal and environmental activists, and it said, like, you know, this is from Japan, but maybe if you care about dugong and the biosphere, you may have it in you to help them too. Who knows? One day Filipinos may need help from other countries, you know, and so.
Yeah.
Now I want to discuss the scope of the effects of change.org. When people start petitions, what type of effects can they expect from it? Of course, right now I've already heard that it's as effective as asking, for instance, a global celebrity to transfer his concert venue, or even the Department of Environment and Natural Resources to free up a weekend that a family found. So, what if you start a petition, for instance, with all the 200 plus petitions against the pork barrel or PDAF or DAP, and you want to see real change, will these people be able to expect to just rely on the petitions, or what else do they have to do to couple this petition in order for it to be effective?
Okay, a platform is a platform, but it's not everything, okay? A petition starter must learn to own that petition, meaning
Take leadership of its
take
petition.
leadership of it. We have seen some petitions that have 0 signers, and I'm pretty sure that most of the people who launch petitions are on social media with hundreds and maybe thousands of friends and followers. I've always asked you, how many friends do you have? The minimum is 500, you know. So first, how do you own petitions? Share it with your friends, because because your friends can actually suggest better ways also of framing your petition. And an owner can always edit, by the way, because you own that. We cannot, you own that. And any changes will have to be, you know, with your permission. And that's one way of people say, hey, there's 100 people out there, you know, so they'll be more interested. At the same time, there are good petitions that lie there and die there because the owner doesn't want to do anything except launch a petition. If you're too shy, that's okay. We understand that. But get somebody, one of your friends who is more articulate, willing to go out there and talk to media and talk to people and say, can you help me?
And
You
this
know?
is already going outside
And that is
of
going
the,
out of the
social media
procedure.
platform.
Yes,
this is actually groundwork.
is very important also because there's a symbiotic relationship between social media and traditional media. You know, it goes on. And then there are other people who will also hear of it when on ground. You can talk to your school if it's a local, you know, if it's a local issue. You can talk to a bigger audience if it's a bigger issue. And there are many, many ways about it. So as long as you're proactive, hindi mo pinapabayaan, hindi ka magsa-start lang tapos alis ka na. You need to own it all the way to victory.
You have to have a commitment
Yes.
to not just start the petition, but do something about it
Yes.
to see it translate into change. So, unfortunately, we're running out of time, but I'd like to hear basically your message to the viewers. Why should they try out change.org? And I guess, how can you encourage them to start change in their own way?
Okay. Why use change.org? One, you are the change, you know. You start the change. Nobody will start the change except you. And two, if you start in your community, we are here, you know. Be proactive, do call on people to join you. Be positive, actually. Put out projects out there that other youth and other people can join in so that you also say that, you know, we're not just about complaining, we're also about doing good.
That's a good message. What about you, Christine?
I think you know, we are in a very extraordinary time in the sense that people are recognizing their power to create change, and this is the tool for them. It doesn't, you know, it takes hard work, but change.org recognizes the potential and the intelligence of the people on how they think they can solve the problem. You don't need to wait for your governor, for the mayor to create the decisions for you. You can actually tell them straight that this is how I want my problem to be solved. This is how I want these issues that affect me directly be solved. So I think recognizing that potential is groundbreaking, and it also, because the change.org envisions a world where no one is powerless. So change.org is the start to create change in the society, no matter how big or small.
Thank you. Those are very encouraging. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have left. I would like to thank my guests, Inday Espina-Varona and Christine Roque of change.org, for being with us tonight. Join us again next Thursday for another round of discussion here on News Cafe. Sitting in for Jing Magsaysay, I'm Karen Jimeno. Good night.